Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Bitfarms. This was a token analysis request from a couple of viewers, and I wanted to let you know that anyone can make these requests and I will most likely cover them, especially if there is an actionable trade setup to follow. And on this chart we actually have an interesting structure, at least somewhat, because here initially we can track a potential 5-wave move to the upside. Yeah, this can be tracked as a 1, 2, 3, 4th and the 5th easily. Yeah, no problem. And then we could be tracking here a larger A, B, C correction. And it is unfortunate we have broken here briefly below the last level of support, which is already a sign of weakness. But not only that, we have also only managed to form 3 waves to the upside from this current low. And all these points are bringing me to rather considering this much more likely as a larger ABC movement than a potential 1-2 setup to be tracked for a 3rd wave to the upside. And that is not even necessarily due to the break of the area of support, but mostly due to the structure that followed afterwards. So ideally, I would normally like, after such a movement to the upside, to actually form another low and reset the larger correction. Yeah, I would have liked normally to see another low, reset the wave 2, and then form an actual impulse to the upside. But in the case of this chart, there is basically no room to go back into a larger area of support and have a reset. So we would actually need to pretty much start the larger trend to the upside right now, unless we are to likely form a larger pattern to the downside, which would basically force us to even form a new all-time low. Sure, we could head even lower than the current wave B low. Yeah, we could form a lower low, although it would very likely end up breaking this larger structure that has formed in the uptrend in the initial movement to the upside, and it would rather reset the entire chart. Yeah, forming another low on this area, or yeah, having a new local low, a reset within the wave B, would really rather suggest that we should be prepared for even a new all-time low, resetting the entire chart. And since we have already such a large structure in this initial movement to the upside, I have to consider that the larger movement, even if it is a 5-wave move to the upside, and it could be part of a larger impulse technically, yeah, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it would be way too large to actually still be a wave 1. So for those reasons, I heavily believe that we would be looking here at a wave C and not a wave 1 of an even large wave 3. And while technically it is possible, it is a very low probability scenario for me, which is why I'm focusing here on a larger ending diagonal pattern within the wave C, for which I expect again still to form a 5-wave structure to the upside, and still we could see considerable further extensions higher. But unfortunately, for this chart at the moment, there is no high probability trade setup on the larger time frame. On a smaller scale, sure, we may find a potential internal 1-2 setup within a movement here internally in a wave C to the upside. So right now we have the wave 1 and 2 complete, and in the 3rd wave we would ideally have the wave A complete. We would be in a wave B and we would be looking for a C wave still to form. And this is no problem. We have an area of support, although again, this cannot really reliably be tracked as a 5-wave move to the upside within a wave A. It would be much easier for me to consider this as an ABC movement itself, for which reasons I am, once again, quite inclined to be looking internally for a potential trade setup and not at this area. This is more of an area to actually signal to us that this structure is going to fail if we happen to break here below the 78.6% retracement at the $1.1 level basically. And now, before we move into the smaller time frame, we can look here for an ideal target for the larger wave 3, and that would be at around the $17 level, the 138.2% extension of the wave 1. And by the way, I am considering the actual bottom within the wave 2 here as a truncation, as again, since we are in an ending diagonal, we most likely are dealing with an ABC structure in this area, for which we have sure a wave 1 down, a wave 2 up, a 3rd wave down, but we are missing here the 4th, 5th if we don't track this as a wave 5. And also on top of that, we do not really have a reliable structure to track here within a larger movement to the upside if we are to consider this the wave 2 bottom anyway. And this is honestly quite a probable interpretation for me, where yeah, this would be as a 1-2 setup with the wave 2 bottom being here, also marking the beginning of the wave 3. If we want, we can even check here the larger structure area of support, and technically we still have some room down to the 78.6% retracement, but clearly if this is to not form directly a wave 3 to the upside, we should expect a more severe failure if we even go back to those levels, yeah, if we don't manage to push directly here in a wave C to the upside. Now for the smaller time frame, this is actually where we can look for some interesting potential movements on or in a time frame that can be used for an actual trade setup, because once again, a larger ABC structure is not a reliable interpretation for a larger pattern to the upside for a trade setup, yeah? We need internally to form a 5-wave move to the upside to have a potentially interesting trade setup. And within this wave B, we have already gotten quite deep into the area of support, although I have to say it seems quite unfortunate, but we seem to be having a 5-wave move to the downside that has already formed within this area in a first leading diagonal in a wave A. So at the moment, my preferred scenario would allow us to push higher within a wave B here, but I would still expect to extend lower here within a wave C. Now, I'm not saying we cannot track a potential bottom already in the yellow scenario, but I will be tracking here on the sidelines the orange interpretation, which at the moment is preferred for me for another low within this area of support, and we will continue to focus on this idea as long as we hold here the levels between the $3.4 all the way down, or all the way up to the $5.2 level. Yeah, if we don't manage to break here above the 78.6% retracement, we need to consider that with high likelihood we should be prepared for further continuation to the downside. Now, I cannot guarantee that this internally within this structure to the downside we don't form within a fifth within this area a larger ABC movement, for which reasons I actually need to also track internally a resistance area for such a pattern. Again, this is no 5-wave move to the downside that would actually, yeah, even on a smaller scale, that would actually suggest with high likelihood that we should expect continuation lower. Again, we have here already the 3-wave move down in a larger leading diagonal in a wave A. And yeah, we don't need technically to form another low, but it is available to us, and we have here the resistance levels between the $2.7 all the way up to the $3.2 level, where as long as we don't manage to break internally above the 78.6% retracement, a push, another extension lower is still technically possible. And yeah, we will track this internally within a white interpretation, because again, this can work out as part of both the larger wave B in white and the larger wave A in orange, but it doesn't need to happen for those patterns to still work out. Yeah, this is an alternative scenario, an internal scenario on a smaller time frame basically, where if we manage to break here above the 78.6% retracement, it would be a signal that we shouldn't expect within this direct push to the downside further continuation, at least not with high probabilities. For a confirmation, I would probably need here a break above the last swing high at around the, what is it, like the $3.6 level, yeah? And internally within this structure, unfortunately, there isn't too much going on. We only have here a 3-wave move to the upside, it seems. Well, technically, if we go here on a small time frame, we may be able to even track a 5-wave move as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But honestly, this is not a high probability time frame to even be considering. I would be tracking this with high skepticism anyway, where I could very easily be tracking this as an ABC structure that could be complete even within a wave B correction in white. And if we are to extend here in a more direct fashion lower, I would consider this to be, yeah, basically just that, an extension of the white scenario, an extension of the larger wave A in orange or the wave B in yellow. Basically, no major change would be applied for a larger time frame perspective. We would still be watching the same structures on this larger scale. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover. And I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.